The vast observation deck aboard the research vessel Horizon offered an unmatched view of the stars. Commander Ju Park stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching the endless field of distant suns. After 15 years studying deep space phenomena, she had developed an instinct for the unusual. Today that instinct nagged at her. "Something wrong, Commander?" asked Captain Tao, approaching with a cup of tea. "The sensor readings from Sector 7 are odd," she replied, accepting the drink with a nod. "Energy signatures unlike anything in our database. Natural phenomenon?" "I don't think so." The Horizon had been monitoring the edge of human space for 3 years. Their mission was scientific discovery, cataloging astronomical events and collecting data. Humanity's expansion across hundreds of star systems had been peaceful for millennia. The Great Unification 3,000 years ago had ended all major conflicts, creating an era of unprecedented cooperation. Captain Tahoe sipped his tea. "Send the readings to Earth. The Council might want." A sharp alert cut him off. Juhu's wristband flashed urgent red. She pressed it, projecting a holographic display. "Multiple objects appearing at the boundary of Sector 7, she said, eyes widening. "Moving in formation. Hundreds of them." The captain set down his cup. "Ships. Too organized to be anything else." They rushed to the command center where the crew worked calmly, but with growing concern. The main screen showed clusters of lights approaching human territory. "We've never encountered another spacefaring species," said Yunho, the ship's xenobiologist. "Not in all our exploration." Tahoe nodded. "Until now." The objects moved with clear purpose, their trajectory aimed directly toward populated systems. Juhu enhanced the image, revealing metallic vessels of unusual design, angular and sharp, unlike the smooth curves of human ships. "They're broadcasting something," reported communications specialist Minji. "Multiple frequencies." "Let's hear it," ordered Tao. The message played throughout the command center in a strange, rhythmic language. Then it repeated in several Earth languages, including Standard Global. "Attention human territories. We are the Vraxian Dominion. Your long isolation ends today. You will prove your worth or surrender territory and resources. Prepare to receive our representatives." The crew exchanged glances, but nobody panicked. 3,000 years of peace had created a civilization unaccustomed to threats, but also one confident in its ability to handle challenges. "Send the recording to the Galactic Council," Tahoe instructed. "Request instructions." While they waited, Juhu studied the approaching fleet. "Their technology is advanced, but I see evidence of weapon systems. Why come in force for a first contact?" "Maybe that's just their way," suggested Yunho. "Not every species would evolve the same diplomatic approaches." The response from Earth came faster than expected. The face of Counselor Hyun appeared on screen, her expression calm. "Horizon, return to Earth immediately. We're recalling all deep space vessels. The Council is preparing to welcome the Vraxian representatives." Tahoe frowned. "Welcome them? They just threatened us." "Perhaps," Hyun replied evenly. "Or perhaps there's a translation issue. The Council prefers to open with diplomacy. Please return at once." After the transmission ended, the command center fell silent. Juhu checked the sensor readings again. "The Vraxian ships are moving faster now," she noted. "They'll reach the outer colonies within days." "Set course for Earth," ordered Tao. "Maximum speed." As the Horizon changed direction, Juhu noticed something strange. Other human ships throughout nearby sectors were also on the move, not randomly, but in what appeared to be coordinated patterns. During the journey back, unusual communications flowed through the ship's systems. Ancient databases were being accessed across human space, historical archives that hadn't been needed for centuries. The crew gathered in the common area that evening, discussing the situation over dinner. "I've been reading about these Vraxians," said Minji. "Nothing in our records about them." Yunho nodded, "which means they've either stayed hidden or come from beyond our explored regions." "What bothers me," said Juwu, is their approach. A peaceful species wouldn't lead with threats. An older crew member named Sunho, who rarely spoke at these gatherings, cleared his throat. Before the Great Unification, humans often did the same. Everyone turned to him. Sunho had served on the council before joining the Horizon as a scientific advisor. History tells us that showing strength was once considered necessary before negotiations, he continued. Perhaps the Vraxians follow similar logic. Tahoe shook his head. But to threaten a civilization they know nothing about. Maybe they do know something about us, Juwu suggested quietly. Maybe they've been watching. The Horizon arrived at Earth 3 days later. The blue-green planet looked peaceful as always, but the orbital stations bustled with unusual activity. Ships moved in and out of docking bays at a rate Juwu had never seen before. A shuttle took the senior crew down to Unified City, where the Galactic Council headquarters towered above other buildings. They were led to a waiting area where other recently recalled commanders gathered. Director Hyun entered the room, her silver-streaked hair pulled back tightly. "Thank you all for returning so quickly," she said. "The Vraxian delegation will arrive tomorrow. They have maintained their challenging posture in all communications. Why are we entertaining their demands at all?" asked a commander from another vessel. Hyun smiled slightly. "Because that is what we do. We extend courtesy even when others do not." Juwu noticed something odd in Hyun's eyes, a calculating look that didn't match her peaceful words. "Director," Juwu said, "I noticed unusual data transfers during our return. Military archives being accessed." The room grew quiet. Hyun studied Juwu for a moment. "Commander Park, you've been selected as our liaison to the Vraxian delegation," she said, ignoring the question. "Your background in xenobiology and stellar cartography makes you ideal." "I'm not a diplomat," Juwu protested. "No, but you understand boundaries, both in space and in communication. You'll report directly to me." After the meeting, Juwu found herself alone with Sunho in the observation lounge overlooking Earth. "Something isn't right," she told him. "The council is too calm about all this." Sunho gazed at the planet below. "Humanity hasn't faced a threat in 3 millennia. But that doesn't mean we forgot how." "What do you mean?" "Peace is a choice we make every day," he said simply. "It has never been our only option." The next morning, Juwu watched from the council chamber as the first Vraxian shuttle entered Earth's atmosphere. Outside, citizens went about their business, most unaware of the significance of this moment. No panic, no fear, just the quiet confidence of a civilization that had known nothing but peace for 3,000 years. As the alien craft landed, she wondered what they would make of humanity's calm smile in the face of their challenges, and why, beneath that smile, ancient war protocols were being quietly awakened across the stars. The Vraxian delegation entered the Grand Council chamber with heavy footsteps. Their bodies were tall and angular, covered in overlapping plates that gleamed under Earth's gentle lighting. Ambassador Krell, their leader, stood nearly 3 meters high with 4 arms and skin the color of burnished copper. His eyes, 3 of them, constantly scanned the room, as if searching for hidden threats. Juwu watched from her position beside Director Hyun. The human delegation sat calmly at the curved table, faces composed and welcoming. "We expected more fear," Krell said without preamble, his translator device giving his words a metallic edge. "Your species faces the Vraxian Dominion, conquerors of 17 systems." Director Hyun smiled warmly. "We welcome you to Earth, Ambassador Krell. We hope your journey was comfortable." Krell's central eye narrowed. "Did you not understand our message? We are not here for pleasant exchanges." "We understood," Hyun replied. "But on Earth, we begin all relationships with courtesy." The Vraxian delegation exchanged glances. One of them, smaller than the others, and with lighter-colored plating, leaned forward with obvious curiosity. "I am Mok, cultural attaché," he introduced himself. "We studied your transmissions for many cycles before approaching. Your civilization appears to lack military structure." Jiwoo spoke for the first time. We have no need for militaries within our society. Peace has served us well for 3,000 years. Krell made a sound like metal scraping against stone. A laugh, Jiwoo realized. Peace serves the weak who cannot defend themselves, he declared. The Dominion requires proof of your worth before we decide your fate. Director Hyun maintained her pleasant expression. What kind of proof would satisfy you? A series of challenges, Krell announced. Tests of strength, intelligence, and combat prowess. Success will earn you the right to continue your existence independently. Failure means you submit to Vraxian protection. The human delegation showed no outward reaction to these terms. No anger, no offense, just continued attentiveness. We accept your challenges, Director Hyun said simply. Krell seemed taken aback by the easy acceptance. You understand what is at stake. Perfectly, Hyun assured him. Commander Park will serve as our liaison for the arrangements. She has full authority to coordinate with your team. After the meeting, Jiwoo escorted the Vraxian delegation to their quarters. Mok, the cultural attaché, fell into step beside her. Your people show unusual calm, he observed. Most species tremble before the Dominion. We have no reason to tremble, Jiwoo replied. We welcome the opportunity to learn about your culture through these challenges. Mok's head tilted. They are not cultural exchanges. They determine your future. Every interaction shapes the future, she said with a smile. Later that evening, Jiwoo received her full briefing from Director Hyun in a secure room deep beneath the council building. The space surprised her. It appeared to be a military command center, with screens showing positions of ships throughout human space. Why does this facility exist? Jiwoo asked. We haven't needed military coordination for millennia. Han's expression turned serious. Peace is our way of life, but preparedness is our insurance policy. This center has been maintained continuously since the unification. The Vraxians believe we're defenseless. Yes, Hyun agreed, and we see no reason to correct that misunderstanding yet. Jiwoo studied the displays. These movements aren't random. Our ships are positioning strategically. Simple precautions, Hyun said. Now about these challenges. The Vraxians will expect us to select our strongest, most aggressive individuals. Instead, we'll send our teachers, scientists, and diplomats. They'll see that as weakness. Let them. The first challenge came 3 days later. A physical competition held in an arena specially constructed outside Unified City. Thousands of spectators gathered to watch, their mood curious rather than fearful. The Vraxian champion, Gorn, stood over 4 meters tall, his exoskeleton enhanced with mechanical additions. The human representative was Suho, a 60-year-old professor of physical education. This is your champion, Krell asked incredulously when Suho stepped forward in simple exercise clothes. Jiwoo nodded. One of our finest. The challenge was to move massive stone blocks to form a specific pattern. Gorn immediately used brute force, straining against the weights. Suho studied the pattern, then began applying simple leverage principles, using smaller stones as fulcrums. He finished first, barely breaking the sweat. Impossible, Gorn growled. Efficiency over force, Suho explained kindly. Would you like me to show you the technique? The intelligence challenge followed the next day. A complex problem-solving test that the Vraxian mathematician had prepared over many cycles. The human representative, a young library assistant named Doyun, completed it in half the expected time. Your species hides its true nature, Mok told Jiwoo as they observed. These capabilities contradict your peaceful appearance. There's no contradiction, Jiwoo explained. Intelligence and strength can serve peace as readily as war. That night, Jiwoo discovered something troubling. Using her liaison credentials, she found that ancient military archives were being accessed across all human systems. Historical battle tactics, weapons specifications, defense systems, information untouched for thousands of years, now flowed through secure channels. She confronted Director Hyun in the underground command center. "We're preparing for conflict while pretending to embrace these challenges," Ju said. "That's deception." Hyun looked tired. "We're preparing for all possibilities. The historical records explain why we chose peace in the first place." "What do you mean?" "Access File Unification Prime," Hyun instructed the system. A holographic display appeared, showing devastation on a scale Ju had never imagined. Entire continents scorched, oceans boiled away, billions dead. "The last war," Han explained quietly. "The one that led to the Great Unification. Humanity didn't choose peace because we were weak. We chose it because we discovered we were too strong. Our capacity for destruction too complete." Understanding dawned on Ju. "You're afraid of what will happen if the Vraxians push us too far." "Not afraid," Hyun corrected. "Cautious. There's a reason we maintained these facilities for 3,000 years. Peace was never about forgetting how to fight. It was about remembering why we shouldn't." The final challenge was combat, scheduled for the following day. As Ju returned to her quarters, she found Mok waiting in the corridor. "My superiors grow frustrated," he said without greeting. "Your people smile through every challenge, yet show no fear. It defies everything we know about conquered species." "Perhaps," Ju suggested gently, "that's because we have never been conquered. Yet you have no warships, no armies." Ju considered her words carefully. "Tell me, Mok, why does a species that has known only peace for 3,000 years still remember exactly how to respond to threats?" She left him standing there, confusion evident in his three eyes. Behind her calm smile, Ju worried about what would happen when the Vraxians discovered the answer to that question. The morning sun cast long shadows across the Cultural Heritage Center as Ju led Mok through its quiet halls. The young Vraxian had requested a tour of human historical facilities after yesterday's challenges, and Director Hyun had approved the visit with a knowing look that Ju still didn't fully understand. "This building preserves our past," Ju explained as they walked. "Not just artifacts, but knowledge and traditions." Mok's three eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture Ju had learned indicated curiosity. "Your species places high value on history despite embracing change." "The past informs our future," she replied. "Those who forget history are doomed to repeat it," Mok finished. "We have a similar saying." They turned a corner, and Ju paused at a large set of double doors marked Historical Simulation Department. She pressed her palm against the scanner, and the doors slid open. Inside, a surprising scene greeted them. What appeared to be a combat training session was underway. 20 people moved in perfect coordination, responding to commands from an elderly instructor. Their movements were precise, efficient, and unmistakably martial. "Instructor Sunho," Ju called out. The old man turned and smiled. "Commander Park, right on schedule." Mok stepped forward, his copper plating catching the light. "These are combat drills." "Educational simulations," Sunho corrected gently. "Historical exercises." The participants, ranging from teenagers to elderly citizens, stopped their practice and bowed respectfully to the visitors. None seemed surprised by the aliens' presence. "For 3,000 years of peace," Mok observed, "your people maintain remarkable combat readiness." Sunho's weathered face remained calm. "We preserve knowledge of all our history, including the parts we choose not to repeat." He gestured, and the group resumed their practice. On closer inspection, Ju noticed subtle differences from actual combat training. These movements emphasized control rather than damage, precision rather than power. "Would you care to participate?" Sunho asked Mok. The Vraxian hesitated, then nodded. Sunho guided him to an empty practice area and demonstrated a simple sequence of movements. Mok attempted to follow but found his four limbs surprisingly uncoordinated compared to the humans too. "Your species maintains physical disciplines despite no external threats," Mok said between attempts. "Why?" "The greatest threats," Sunho replied, adjusting Mok's stance, are not always external. Later, they visited a simulation room where volunteers were engaged in what appeared to be tactical exercises. Operators sat at consoles, while others moved physical pieces across a large table map. Another historical preservation, Mok asked skeptically. An educational game, Juwu explained. It teaches cooperation, resource management, and conflict resolution. Mok studied the activity. These are military simulations. They're strategic puzzles, Juwu corrected. The objective is minimum damage while achieving stability. As they left the center, Mok seemed troubled. Your entire civilization maintains combat readiness while claiming to value peace above all. I find this contradictory. Juwu considered her response carefully. Peace isn't the absence of strength. It's the wisdom to know when not to use it. That evening, Juwu was summoned to the underground command center. Director Hyun stood before a large holographic display, showing the positions of human and Vraxian vessels throughout nearby space. The Vraxian fleet has split into 3 groups, Hyun noted. 2 maintaining position at our borders, 1 moving closer to Earth. Juwu studied the display. A standard encirclement approach. Yes, Hyun agreed. But notice our own ships. Human vessels had been subtly repositioning for days. What initially appeared random now revealed a clear pattern. They had formed a perfect counterbalance to the Vraxian movements. We're matching them position for position, Juwu realized. Without appearing to do so, Hyun added, each ship has legitimate research or transport assignments that just happen to place them in these locations. An older counselor named Juho joined them. The final challenge is tomorrow, combat between champions. Who will represent us? Juwu asked. You will, Hyun replied simply. Juwu blinked in surprise. I'm a researcher, not a fighter. Juho's eyes crinkled with gentle amusement. Are you certain about that, Commander Park? He activated a private screen that displayed Juwu's full service record, including sections she had never seen before, training she didn't remember, skills she wasn't aware she possessed. I don't understand, she whispered. Your regular memory refreshment sessions, Hyun explained. They weren't just regulatory health checks. Realization dawned slowly. You've been preparing me. Preparing everyone, Juho corrected. For 3,000 years, humanity has maintained certain capabilities without allowing them to define us. The combat and strategy training is real, Juho said. The simulations aren't just historical preservation. Peace was always our goal, Hyun said, but peace through strength, not weakness. That night, Juho couldn't sleep. She accessed her personal files and found hidden compartments in her quarters containing equipment she somehow knew how to use despite never having trained with it. Muscle memory guided her hands as she assembled and checked a defensive device that could neutralize attacks without causing harm. Her door chimed unexpectedly. When she opened it, Mok stood in the corridor. I apologize for the late hour, the young Vraxian said, but I must speak with you privately. She invited him in, discreetly concealing the equipment. Tomorrow's combat challenge troubles me, Mok admitted. The Vraxian champion will not show restraint. I didn't expect he would, Juho replied calmly. You don't understand. Our military leader, Commander Vax, has ordered a demonstration of Vraxian superiority. Your defeat is meant to be decisive. Juho studied the young alien. Why are you telling me this? Mok's plating shifted in what she had learned was discomfort. Today at your cultural center, I saw something my people have lost. Your instructor, the way he taught both young and old with equal respect. The focus on control rather than damage. Sunho has taught for 60 years, Juho said. In my culture, warriors past their prime are discarded, Mok explained. Knowledge dies with them. But your people, he trailed off, seemingly struggling with a realization. What is it, Mok? Your peace isn't fragile, is it? He asked quietly. It's the opposite. You don't maintain these skills because you fear losing peace. You maintain them because you know exactly what happens when peace is lost. Ju didn't confirm or deny his insight. Instead, she asked, "Does Ambassador Krell understand what he's challenging?" "No," Mok replied with certainty. "He believes your peaceful nature indicates weakness. Most of my kind do. And you. I'm beginning to understand why a species might choose peace despite having other options." Mok moved toward the door. "Be careful tomorrow, Commander Park. The Dominion has never lost a challenge." After he left, Ju contacted Director Hyun. "The Varaxians plan to make tomorrow's combat a demonstration," she reported. "Should I withdraw?" Hyun's expression remained serene on the comm screen. "That would only delay the inevitable confrontation. Sometimes, Commander, the kindest thing you can do for an aggressor is to show them why peace is preferable. Without harming them," Ju clarified. "Precisely." Hyun smiled. "Remember your training, both the parts you recall and the parts you don't. Human strength has never been about destruction. It's about having options and choosing the best one." As dawn approached, Ju felt an odd calm settle over her. Somewhere within her, ancient knowledge awakened, not of how to fight, but of how to end a fight before it truly began. The combat arena gleamed under the morning sun. Thousands of humans sat quietly in the stands, their faces showing interest rather than the bloodlust the Varaxians had expected. Ambassador Krell surveyed the scene with his 3 eyes, the central one narrowed in suspicion. "Your people treat this as entertainment," he said to Director Hyun. "Do they not understand what is at stake?" "They understand perfectly," Hyun replied. "We simply have faith in our representative." Ju stood at the edge of the circular fighting space, dressed in a simple gray uniform. Across from her, the Varaxian champion Gorn performed elaborate warm-up exercises, his 4 arms whirling with practiced precision. Standing nearly twice her height, his exoskeleton had been enhanced with metallic reinforcements that caught the light as he moved. "Commander Park," Mok approached quietly. "Gorn has defeated champions from 7 different species. He will not show mercy." "Thank you for your concern," Ju said with a gentle smile. "But this will end well for everyone." The rules were simple. Combat would continue until one participant yielded or could no longer continue. No weapons were permitted, though the Varaxians had not objected to Gorn's mechanical enhancements. They considered them part of his natural evolution as a warrior. A soft chime sounded, signaling the beginning of the match. Gorn charged immediately, his heavy footsteps shaking the ground. Ju remained still, watching his approach with calm eyes. At the last possible moment, she stepped slightly to one side, allowing his momentum to carry him past her. Gorn spun with surprising agility for his size and struck out with 2 arms. Ju moved like water around the blows, never directly opposing his strength, but always shifting just beyond his reach. "Fight back," Gorn growled through his translator. Ju circled him, her movements economical and precise. "I am." Frustrated, Gorn launched a coordinated attack with all 4 limbs. Ju finally made contact then, her hands touching his arms in what appeared to be gentle redirections. Yet somehow, Gorn found himself off balance, his own strength working against him. In the stands, Ambassador Krell leaned forward. "What technique is this?" "She barely touches him." "An ancient form," Hyun explained. "It uses the opponent's energy rather than opposing it directly." "Deception," Krell hissed. "She hides her true strength." "No deception," Hyun corrected. "True strength isn't always about force." The combat continued for several minutes, with Gorn growing increasingly frustrated. His attacks became wilder, more desperate. Ju remained calm, her breathing steady, her movements flowing like a choreographed dance. Then the unexpected happened. A small device on Gorn's arm blinked to life, a weapon that had been concealed within his enhancements. The crowd gasped as an energy pulse shot toward Ju. She didn't dodge. Instead, her hand moved in a precise pattern, and the energy seemed to flow around her body and dissipate harmlessly into the ground. The arena fell silent. Violation, Director Hen said quietly. The rules specified no weapons. Ambassador Krell sputtered. His enhancement must have malfunctioned. Before he could finish, alarms sounded throughout the city. On every public screen, including the large displays in the arena, an alert appeared. A Vraxian vessel had launched an attack on a small human outpost near the edge of Earth's solar system. What is the meaning of this? Hyun asked, her voice still calm, but now edged with something harder. Krell's outer eyes blinked rapidly while his central eye remained fixed on the screen. A misunderstanding. The screens shifted to show the outpost. Rather than chaos and destruction, they displayed an orderly evacuation. People moved with practiced efficiency, no panic visible as they boarded transport vessels. Within minutes, the station was empty, just before Vraxian weapons struck it. 0 casualties. In the arena, Juwoo had not moved from her position. Gorn stood frozen, uncertain how to proceed now that his concealed weapon had failed. The challenge continues, Juwoo said simply. Gorn charged again, but this time Juwoo changed her approach. She stepped directly into his attack and placed her palm against his chest. A small pulse, not energy, but perfect mechanical pressure, traveled through his exoskeleton. Gorn collapsed to his knees, his limbs suddenly unresponsive. "What did you do to me?" he demanded, panic in his voice. "Temporarily disrupted your neuromuscular connections," Juwoo explained, kneeling beside him. "You'll recover fully in approximately 10 minutes. No permanent damage." She could have easily caused permanent harm. Everyone watching understood this. "I yield," Gorn said, the words clearly painful to him. Juwoo helped him to a seated position and bowed respectfully before walking to where the Vraxian delegation sat in stunned silence. "Your outpost," Krell began, finding his voice. "We expected defense systems, counterattacks. We defended what matters most," Juwoo replied. "Our people." Director Hyun touched a small device on her wrist. Throughout the arena, the air shimmered slightly as hidden systems became visible. Defense mechanisms had surrounded everyone present, systems so advanced they had been completely undetectable until revealed. "The attack on our outpost was a test," Hyun said to Krell. "You wanted to see our military response." "And you showed none," Krell replied. "Just an evacuation." "Because that was the appropriate response to that specific threat," Juwoo explained. "Minimal force for maximum effect." Mok stepped forward. "Ambassador, I believe we have fundamentally misunderstood human civilization." "Explain," Krell demanded. "They don't lack military capability," Mok said. "They simply haven't needed to use it in 3,000 years. Their peace isn't enforced by weakness, but by choice." Juwoo nodded. "Do you know why humans smile when threatened?" The question hung in the air. "Because we remember what happens when we don't," she continued. 3,000 years ago, we nearly destroyed ourselves through conflict. We chose another path not because we had to, but because we learned a better way exists." The screens around the arena changed again, this time showing something that made the Vraxian delegation physically recoil. Historical records of Earth's final war before unification. Devastation on a scale that dwarfed anything in Vraxian military history. Weapons and tactics so advanced they seemed almost magical, wielded with terrible precision. "This is what we chose to move beyond," Hyun explained quietly. "Not because we couldn't win wars, but because we learned that even winners lose too much." As the images played, human ships throughout the solar system revealed previously hidden capabilities. Defense platforms emerged from what had appeared to be ordinary satellites. Research vessels reconfigured to display deterrent systems. No weapons fired. Nothing attacked the Vraxian fleet. They simply revealed their existence. "Your ship that attacked our outpost is now surrounded by 30 defense platforms," Hyun informed Krell. "They have been there all along. We simply chose not to mention them." Krell's 3 eyes blinked in rapid succession. "If you possess such technology, why hide it? Why maintain the appearance of vulnerability? Because true strength, Ju said as she helped Gorn to his feet, his mobility now returning, lies not in what you can destroy, but in what you choose to preserve. The humans in the arena remained seated, their expressions not triumphant but hopeful. No celebration of victory, just quiet acknowledgement of understanding. Mok looked at Juwu with newfound respect. Your people have been teaching us something from the beginning, haven't they? She smiled. Every interaction is an opportunity to learn. The council chamber felt different today. The large windows that usually allowed sunlight to stream in had been dimmed to accommodate the Vraxian preference for softer lighting. Ambassador Krell sat across from Director Hyun, his posture less rigid than during previous meetings. Beside him, Mok arranged data tablets with careful precision. Jumu entered the room alongside Captain Taho. 3 days had passed since the combat challenge and the revelation of humanity's hidden defenses. During that time, both sides had maintained a careful distance, processing what had occurred. Thank you for agreeing to this meeting, Director Hyun began. We believe it's time to move beyond challenges toward understanding. Krell's central eye focused on her. The Dominion has never encountered a species like yours. You hide your strength behind smiles, and then reveal capabilities that would have taken us centuries to develop. Not hidden, Hyun corrected gently. Simply not emphasized. We believe a civilization should be judged by how it treats others, not by its capacity to harm them. Captain Taho activated the room's holographic system. The 3-dimensional map of local space appeared, showing both human and Vraxian territories. Our long-range sensors have detected significant resource depletion in your outer systems, Taho said. Is this assessment accurate? Krell shifted uncomfortably. After a moment, he nodded. The Dominion expands because it must. Our home systems can no longer support our population. This explains your approach, Ju said. You challenge other species because you need their resources, not merely to demonstrate superiority. Strength determines who survives, Krell replied, though his tone lacked its former conviction. Mok activated one of his tablets. With respect, Ambassador, I have analyzed the human historical records they've shared. Their civilization faced similar resource challenges before their unification. Rather than conquest, they developed technologies for sustainability. Hyun smiled. Technologies we would be willing to share. The offer hung in the air. Krell's outer eyes blinked rapidly, a sign of surprise that Ju had come to recognize. Without conditions, he asked suspiciously. With one condition, Hyun replied. Peace. The holographic display shifted to show several human outposts near the border between their territories. These stations glowed with a soft blue light, indicating they were research facilities. These outposts have been studying stellar reformation for centuries, Taho explained. The technology to revitalize dying star systems exists. We simply haven't needed to implement it on a large scale within our territory. Krell leaned forward. If such technology exists, why offer it to a species that just threatened you? Because need doesn't become less real simply because it's expressed poorly. Hyun said, your people require resources. We can help provide them without either side resorting to conflict. A side door opened, and elderly instructor Sunho entered. He had been invited at Juwoo's suggestion. His presence caused Mok to straighten with evident respect. 3,000 years ago, Sunho said, his voice carrying despite its softness, humans fought over resources until we nearly destroyed everything we were fighting for. Then someone asked a simple question. What if we cooperated instead? Krell's plating shifted in what Juwoo now recognized as discomfort. The Dominion has always relied on strength. And you are strong, Sunho acknowledged. But strength can protect as well as conquer. It can build as well as destroy. Admiral Doyun, the head of Earth's defensive systems, joined them. We propose a joint mission. Your finest engineers working alongside ours to implement stellar reformation technology in your most depleted system. The display changed to show technical specifications. Even to Juwoo's trained eye, The science was breathtakingly advanced, the culmination of thousands of years of peaceful development. Why would you share such valuable technology? Krell demanded. What do you gain? A neighbor instead of an enemy, Hyun said simply. Resources enough for both our peoples. A future built on cooperation rather than competition. Mok spoke up. Ambassador, their offer is genuine. I verify their capabilities. This technology could save our outer colonies. For the first time since their arrival, Krell seemed truly uncertain. The Vraxian delegation huddled together, speaking in their native language while the humans waited patiently. Finally, Krell turned back to face them. The Dominion has never accepted assistance. We have always taken what we needed. Perhaps, Ju suggested, that's why your expansion required such effort, taking costs more than sharing. If we accept this proposal, Krell said slowly, what would be our status? Would we become subordinate to human authority? Equals, Hyun said firmly. Partners, the beginning of a new relationship between our civilizations. The tension in the room gradually eased as details were discussed. Resource needs, implementation timelines, exchange of knowledge. What had begun as a confrontation was transforming into a negotiation. Later that evening, Ju stood on the observation deck of the orbital station, watching Earth turn slowly below. Footsteps approached, the distinctive four-point pattern of a Vraxian. Commander Park, Mok greeted her. May I join you? Of course, she replied. And please call me Ju. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, the beauty of the planet below speaking for itself. Your people surprised us, Mok finally said. All our intelligence indicated a peaceful species without military capability. Both true, in their way, Ju replied. We are peaceful by choice, and our capabilities were never primarily military. They were designed for protection, not conquest. The difference seems semantic, yet I begin to understand it is fundamental, Mok observed. When Ambassador Krell reported to our high command, they first wanted to retreat, then to attack before you could mobilize. It took hours to convince them you could have destroyed our fleet at any time, yet chose not to. That choice defines us more than any technology, Ju said. My people have much to learn from yours, Mok admitted. And perhaps we have things to learn from the Vraxians as well, Ju suggested. No civilization knows everything. A small alert chimed on Ju's wristband. The initial resource survey team, a mixed group of humans and Vraxians, had departed for the first joint mission. The engineering vessel carried stellar reformation technology that would begin revitalizing a dying Vraxian system within weeks. Does it not concern your people, Mok asked carefully, that once we learn these technologies, we could potentially use them against you? Ju smiled. The same thought occurred to our ancestors about internal human conflicts. They realized something important. When everyone has enough, the incentive for conflict diminishes. When everyone can create rather than take, peace becomes the logical choice. And if logic fails, Mok pressed. Then we still have other options, Ju replied calmly. But we found that genuine prosperity reduces the appeal of aggression. It's simply more efficient to cooperate. Below them, lights twinkled across Earth's night side. 3,000 years of peaceful development creating a tapestry of human achievement. Your people smile in the face of threats, Mok said thoughtfully. I finally understand why. And why is that? Ju asked. Because you remember what happens when peace fails, yet you've discovered something even more powerful than your defenses. Which is the ability to turn enemies into allies, Mok said. To see need behind aggression. To offer solutions instead of resistance. Ships moved across Earth's orbit. Human and Vraxian vessels now operating in coordinated patterns rather than opposition. The beginning of something new. The most powerful species in the galaxy, Ju said softly, is the one that doesn't need to prove it. Mok's three eyes blinked in sequence, now a gesture Ju recognized as agreement. I believe I finally understand why humans smile when challenged. Juwu nodded. Because after 3,000 years of peace, we haven't forgotten our strength. We've simply discovered better ways to use it.